met a guy today this morning. He's a senior vice president of a major bank in the United States. And I asked him what he's doing here. He had a big Ethereum t-shirt on. And he said, I'm looking for a job. He's ready to leave. He's like, I'm going to send an email to the whole bank, to every staff member, saying, I'm going into crypto. If you want to buy some, let me know.
There is a sort of distribution of free money going around.
Okay, so you're a millionaire?
Cryptocurrency millionaire, yes.
Cryptocurrency millionaire.
Definitely.
But does that translate into being a millionaire?
It does.
Boy, it feels great to be a Bitcoin millionaire. I'm loving it.
Be a Bitcoin billionaire, spending money like I don't care, mining coin in my underwear. I'm gonna be a Bitcoin billionaire.
Whenever I sell a little bit of Bitcoin or pay for something in Bitcoin, I multiply that price by 10 because that's where I think that Bitcoin's going.
When the price is up, everyone is excited. So you feel people more happy, you feel more happy, you know, your friends are more happy, you have more money, you know, to invest in your company, to hire more people, to bring more people on board.
It's really important, like, stay grounded. I had that issue when I was younger, and the first Bitcoin bubbles, I started to develop like a little bit of an ego and excitement, you know, coupled with that and being young. So now I won't make the same mistake.
And federal prosecutors have officially charged 2 Bitcoin entrepreneurs.
Prosecution claims Charlie Shrem was involved in a drug money laundering scheme via the Silk Road website.
If found guilty, he faces up to 30 years in prison. Now,
in a way, it actually was good when the price was that low when I was in prison, because I took all of my money out of bank accounts before I went in. I cleared out all my bank and I just bought Bitcoin. And I bought Bitcoin, a lot of it at $180, $200. And then when I was in there, I didn't look at the price at all. And when I got out, it was like at $500. And I was like, wow, I just doubled my money. When I started BitInstant, I was very young. I was like 21, an idealist. And I wanted to just, like I said, change the world, but I never had the experience of being a CEO.
I think that I will still see in the next years some up and downs.
It's a boom and bust cycle. That's how it's bubbles. Same thing with everything.
Even if Bitcoin now was you know, reduced by 50%, I just wouldn't care at all. And so I would keep moving forward with my plans and my vision.
If you're going to talk about any platform, I think it helps if you talk about how it economically helps them to achieve their goals and dreams. So if you start from saying, hey, mining isn't validation of transactions and blocks across the network, we all get a copy of the... If you tell them you turn on your computer and it makes money for you, then they're interested. Oh, it makes money for you. What do you mean? What does that mean?
That's one of the most brilliant parts and most fascinating and most difficult as well to understand is how a Bitcoin and even Ethereum, how these protocols, how they really work, how consensus is truly achieved.
I'd say that consensus is the ability to agree on the state of something. In the case of Satoshi, what he wanted to build was a monetary system maintained by the people and secured by the people, where the money it would keep track of, Bitcoin, would be kept in this distributed database that any agent can keep a copy of. So it's very important that everyone is able to agree on the state of this database, that everyone is able to achieve consensus on what it should like at any given moment. This happens through something many people refer to as mining.
I started mining because I was a gamer and I had really good graphics cards, and I thought, I can leave my computer on in the corner of my room and make some extra money. How awesome would that be? So let me try flipping it on and see what happens. And I was making like 0.2 Ether and I got obsessed. I was like, oh, I can build a computer that's way more badass. I can put 8 different cards in it. I spent the next month or two literally just in my room with boxes and screws and slamming my fist against my face trying to get it to work. He's a fucking bastard, dude. Getting him set up one card at a time, setting the whole thing up and realizing it didn't turn on for this. it's just kind of a hassle. Building a rig the first time is a real big learning experience. And then I had finally my mining rig set up and giving me a constant little bit flow, and then obviously that's like the rabbit hole. Once you start making money, you're like, how does this work? How can I make more? Why is this gonna go up?
Essentially, what mining is a puzzle that's very, very hard to solve. You can think of it as one of those puzzles where you have like a wooden board and some hole in it. So miners are basically computers around the world competing to find the right piece to fit in this hole so that they can get a reward from the network.
The reason why Bitcoin is valuable is because it is hard money. It is hard to produce. And when you have hard money, it gives you certain guarantees about how scarce it is and how difficult it is to produce and so on. And what happens with mining in the physical sense is that you have to process a lot of dirt and rock before you actually get that substance. The nice thing about proof of work is that unlike gold mines where there's certain places that have more gold than others, proof of work is completely evenly distributed. It's uniformly distributed.
All the incentives align everyone together. It's like, this is the genius part of blockchains. It's not only brute force, it's not only cryptography, it's game theoretical incentives. And this is what really holds everyone together.
The more agents securing the network, the safer it gets, the more robust it gets, the more people tend to use the network. The more people use the network, the more valuable it tends to get. The more valuable it tends to get, the more valuable are the rewards it pays to the workers securing the network. Thus we have a loop on which everyone's interested in making the network more secure, more usable, and more valuable.
There are 25,000 mining machines here, crunching the code, processing transactions, and of course, generating new Bitcoins.
We want a system where anyone can participate, and if you are providing a service to the system, you're gonna get paid for it.
It's been really freeing because I don't have to work anymore. I got free through this technology. Obviously the prices went up and we all knew it was gonna go through the moon, but when it was actually happening, it's happened multiple times, but it's just like, wow, this is almost like a fantasy. It's like a dream because now my dreams came true. I don't have to work in a restaurant. I can just go to LA and do what I want to do.
Every day in my head, I have a little conversation with myself and I say, Charlie, how lucky you are to be in this position. Gotta be grateful because it can be taken away from you. You know, you can be forced to get a real job and imagine.
When you think about money, you may picture paper notes or fiat currencies, but in truth, you're actually thinking about value. And even though we all recognize value, we don't necessarily assess it in the same manner. There's no universal law dictating what can be taken as money and what cannot. An ICO is kind of like an IPO, but where a newborn company issues tokens and whoever sees value in that can buy them.
Launch! Singular DTV toppling launches in the air!
4.35 million in 3 minutes. 4.48 million in 4 minutes.
The traditional model of investment made us kind of blind about how much money there is actually in the world. And for some reason, people led to believe that there is very, very little money. But in fact, as a matter of fact, the investors who have the money, they don't know where to put it, essentially. There's too much money in the world.
My initial thoughts were really, wow, this space has really figured it out how to kind of raise funds, right?
We've seen that happen multiple times. We've seen a lot of ICOs raising millions of dollars, and everyone is talking ICOs.
What they call the ICOs, which the funding model, with all their deficiencies, it brings in something very interesting, which we might regret or we might actually celebrate later on.
I think we've seen many interesting kind of movements and like cryptography and all these things already quite a few years, in the 90s already. But back then, you didn't have this possibility to get funding in this amount that we see now. And now with kind of blockchain and this incentive scheme that is built into it inherently, this becomes somehow possible, and this, you know, this inflow of money allows so many people to start and contribute and be in this space and build it.
The narrative was always been like, this is really difficult to get hold of the money as an investment. But what ICO is showing you is that it's not.
And ICO is actually a good place to start because it's sort of a good way for you to start a company. And I'm pretty sure that next year we will be talking about things that aren't ICOs. And hopefully we will be talking about things that those ICOs were able to build with the money they've been raising. Does that mean that ICOs will end? No, I don't think so. They probably won't have this format. They probably won't be an issue. They probably won't be about coins. They probably won't be about offerings.
We want to come up with a system that does the same benefits of an ICO without actually doing an ICO. Anybody can do an ICO now.
Mais novidades sobre o projeto Moeda do Futebol, o qual eu estou participando, e para maiores detalhes entre no site que está aí abaixo.
That's not our style. Everybody's raising all this money from an ICO, and it's, you know, IPO, ICO, not the best thing to be doing. So we've figured out other ways. I don't like to do shit. I don't like to do stuff normal.
I personally think that ICOs are one of the most boring things that you can do with Ethereum, and I think there are many things that are much better and with much more value.
On the one hand side, I believe it's just good that, you know, the funds come in, the space gets more and more attractive. Really good programmers are starting to look into it, so it's fantastic, right? We get resources of several sorts. On the other hand, the whole speculation and all that is obviously not positive because, you know, wherever you have a bubble, you will also have lots of just destruction of value.
There's a lot of people in the space that are here to make money. A lot of people are making easy money. I want to find people that are here for more than just that.
I think the most important thing is learning from, you know, the challenges that Bitcoin went through with these kind of like anonymous dark net activities. And, you know, governments and institutions using that to undermine the technology. I think as this bubble bursts and a lot of fraud comes out and a lot of, you know, bad actors are exposed, we need to be mindful that, like, there are people working on really important projects in the space, and that it's critically important that this infrastructure gets built, and that it's not necessarily about this kind of hype and this return on investment that people are speaking about, but in the underlying technology being built.
We are working on this semester to bring all those technology together to make the Web3 umbrella accomplished.
Only by word of mouth, Mudamos has been downloaded by 500,000 people already. And this is amazing because it shows that there is a huge demand to use the blockchain to enable civic and democratic participation.
I mean, to me, this is nothing less than the second era of the internet.